Welcome to episode 3 of Hero on the Run, the challenge run where we're going through the entire game with minimum item level and no echo. To remind everybody what we did last time, we completed 4 optional dungeons of ARR, and today we continue with more ARR dungeons, but this time around it will only be 1 dungeon as today's session was surprisingly difficult. But without further ado, here's our attempt at Copperbell Mines Hard. Today's session consists of me playing White Mage, Hana playing Sage, and Caleb playing Astrologian, together with a random that we managed to recruit from Party Finder that decided to go Scholar. Immediately, the very first room reminded me of how brutal this challenge can be, and if this isn't a sign of what's to come, well, soon enough, you'll see how truly painful this dungeon is with our settings. If I want to make my life easier to edit. Thankfully, this is level 50, so we can actually use. Oh, okay. Why did I do this to myself? The scariest enemies so far are these hulking beasts that auto attack for damage upwards to 1400 damage. Which, if you are the one in main aggro, just like me, it means that it's an easy way to getting absolutely obliterated. So the main tactic is to spread aggro amongst everybody in the party. In this challenge, to nobody's surprise, you can't have one person take all the aggro while everybody else deals damage or support. Whenever we are dealing with groups of enemies, we have to have one enemy per party member to give everybody enough time to heal each other instead of being overwhelmed. A tactic that worked wonders for most of the mob pulls. Most mob pulls aren't too difficult to handle as long as the enemies aren't the big boys, as those are the biggest problem whenever we aren't fighting the boss. I really did forget how fucking bad this is. Or more like how crazy out of hand this can be. Oh my god. Who needs eyesight anyway? Just love fucking blinding myself over and over again. I like the music here. It's pretty fun. Oh crap. Keep forgetting that enemy spawn here. I was like, wait, there's something missing in this bowl. I don't think we're supposed to just attack the wall. Yeah, these guys spawn. Dude, Astrologian's regen is so powerful because not only do we apply a regen, but you also apply a flat heal. It's so good. Astrologian's regen is by far my favorite one. I think more enemies are gonna spawn. Oh, there's more enemies even. May the power of blindness consume you. Okay, that wasn't too bad. In this room where we have 2 big boys and the random revenant, these big guys need to have their aggro spread by multiple people to ensure nobody gets 2-tapped by them, as they consistently deal 1000 plus damage and we only have around 2400 to 2600 HP. So 2 auto attacks without proper mitigation will easily put an end to that attempt. Though that is, oh no, those are linked to those 3? Oh, that is painful. Very good sacred soil right there. Spreading the aggro right here is what we really need to do for sure. Against these big guys. Freaking cancel my heal. Okay. But now we get to the first boss, the Hecatoncheir Mastermind, the boss where we need to fight on this very small arena that over time catches fire. Our first attempt, well... I forgot how much, how good the dungeon boss music is. I love this. Oh, what in the hell? What happened? What killed me? Oh. Well, didn't go very well. I didn't remember that this boss summoned a bunch of big guys as ads, and when they touched me, I just perished into oblivion. Which, once again, this dungeon is very doable. The only problem is these big guys, and having them be part of a boss fight mechanic really makes things very hard for us. The mining draws aren't too bad in comparison, as they are rather squishy, so they die with a few AoE attacks, but their magic attacks deal decent damage that if you aren't careful with your mitigation and your heals, it can be just enough to kill you. In our second attempt, we decide to aggro the first group of mining troughs without aggroing the second group. And once killed, we remain in the same spot until we are pushed off by the boss's fire on the ground. Periodically, small bombs will spawn that will do massive AoEs that need to be killed if we want to stand a chance against this boss. Thankfully, they are pretty squishy and easily handled. Though sadly in this attempt, the same thing happened where we got overwhelmed by the big guys once again. But it was in this attempt that we did realize that the boss does small cleaving tank busters, which will hit everybody in front of the boss, which probably contributed to us dying so often. Third time around though was a lot smoother, as when the big guy spawned, the aggro was perfectly managed, having everybody dealing with different ads and spreading the damage amongst the entire party, and once those ads are dead, they won't respawn, letting us alone in this corner of the arena to finish off the boss. And now we just tick the dot. I should not be alongside Calum, honestly. That's a cone AoE. There we go. The very first room after the boss is where you need to protect some NPCs from the big guys while they open up the path for you. Thankfully, these guys aren't very problematic, as their damage hardly even reached 500 damage per auto attack. So even though it looks scary, it was a lot smoother of a fight than I thought at first. Oh, Jesus. Big sacred soil. I guess we can just protect them as they're dealing pretty good damage to the collapsed rock. There you go. And we jump right into the second boss, as shockingly, that first room was the only thing between us and the second boss. So let's talk about this boss, shall we? This boss actually, believe it or not, requires for us to have consistent spread positions because the boss will do line AoE tank busters that will one-shot anybody caught in it. So the strategy is that whoever's in aggro needs to have a shield on if they want to survive. With our first attempt, we're learning to consistently deal damage, as the boss will only take major damage from the bombs that you spawn from this little lever here. Once spawned, a player needs to grab the bomb and place it under the boss. After this first explosion, the boss will start moving around the arena, making it harder to land the bombs consistently. So while we have a main tank, someone keeping the bombs in check, and a healer ready for every tank buster, there's one other thing that we need to keep an eye out for. There's these fire sprites that spawn that will start targeting random players, and they will deal tons of damage if left unchecked. They are rather squishy, so they aren't difficult to kill, but the problem is that most of the time we're busy doing the bomb mechanic and keeping everybody alive. And well, if we keep too many enemies alive, it will cause problems. Mainly because the fire sprites can cast a heavy damage flare on a random target that can go up to 1000 damage. Enough to kill anybody, especially the tank if they target the main in aggro randomly. So this fight is all about balancing everything while staying far enough away to dodge the line tank busters. Honestly, a very enjoyable fight to do with only healers. Once a boss is broken, we have to deal with a little guy where we kill him with no problems. Now to move to the third and final boss, we have to go through a very terrifying room filled with high damage enemies. Here we encounter some new enemies together with some already known enemies. The squids and toads being pretty tough but not super problematic, but the problem lies on the big room ahead where we need to deal with two big guys together with some ads. This becomes another fight of managing aggro and trying to have everybody stay aggro with one enemy at least. Hiding around the arena seems to work pretty well, but not well enough to keep everybody alive, but eventually we dwindle everybody down one by one. I did use a lot of healing, huh? Yeah, I did use a lot of healing. That just it made me the top aggro. Please, come on. I don't have any mana. Damn. Oh, we tried. That was a very big, that is a very scary pull. Holy crap, honestly. Very scary. All is canceling my cast too. This is rough. One of them is almost dead. There you go. Oh dear. There we go. Scary pull, dude. Scary pull. Now here comes the actual scary bit of the entire dungeon. Every boss so far has been pretty tough but doable, but this boss is something else. So let's talk about this encounter and how deceivingly nasty it is. This fight has multiple mechanics that we need to keep in mind. We have to pick up objects in the arena to help with the fight. We have ads that must die, otherwise it's a wipe. And attacks that are barely dodgeable. We start the fight normally, me taking aggro as White Mage, because White Mage under raid buffs is easily top aggro. Here we learn that the boss does small but quick mini tank busters that can be comboed by the boss's auto attacks. So if the players are on top of the person in aggro at all times, the player in aggro can easily get one shot by tank buster together with an auto attack. The boss will do some point blank AoEs that are pretty easy to dodge, but the main thing we need to keep an eye out is that sand arena where there is a sandworm moving around that will deal AoE damage if you're caught by its sand explosions, which is the main reason why we tank the boss on the rocky arena. Periodically, the Sandworm needs to be fed the crystal rocks that are around the arena, so one of us needs to be on crystal duty, always feeding the worm, because if not, the worm will do a massive raid ride that will almost certainly kill everybody in the party. So if you aren't careful with the feeding, that raid ride will be enough to end an attempt. There's a problem that comes with feeding the worm, is that there's only 5 rocks in the arena, which means that we can run out of rocks to feed the worm. So they need to be spaced just perfectly so we don't run out too fast. Though thankfully they do respawn, even though at a very slow rate. From time to time the boss will summon ads that will just aggro on a player, and this is where things can get pretty scary as the party divides into 2 groups of 2 players, one dealing with the boss and the other dealing with the ad that just spawned. Thankfully the ad can be killed rather fast, but that spread attention can be enough to kill the person in aggro as they don't have multiple eyes on them. I do end up trying to see if this boss is stunnable by using Holy, which thankfully it is, which means that the boss can be stunned and kept from attacking for a few seconds, either to interrupt an attack or just to give the player aggro enough time to recover some lost health. And we also have learned on episode 2 that enemies will remain immune to stunning for a full minute. After that, the boss can be stunned once again, so we keep that in mind while doing holies. We eventually run out of time for the instance and are forced to reset, with all of us remaining confused on how to properly tackle this boss. We take a small break while we talk a little bit. Thankfully, someone from chat comes to the rescue and joins our PF to help us beat this dungeon. For anybody interested, I'm always live starting Friday to Sunday, doing a bunch of challenge runs, including heal only runs. So if you want to be part of it, be sure to check out my Twitch or just keep an eye out for my YouTube lives. And with that, we go again. Right now, our team composition consists of 2 white mages, 1 astro, and 1 sage, which means that this time around, our party is even burstier because white mage level 50 with presence of mind is an absolute menace. It also means that me and the other white mage will consistently fight over aggro, that it will bring its own issues where we will need to adapt on the fly. We'll spawn and we'll straight up one-shot you. As long as we're fine with that, I think we're fine. I think we'll manage. Oh my god, it cancelled! We can attack the ads right when they spawn while they're making their way to us. So we can burn them down a little bit. Yeah, there they are. As long as these ads die, we're good. Yeah, there you go. They're both dead. That's it. That's the fight. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna do a cure 3. Top everybody off. Get this guy to look away because of its cone tank buster. That's good. That's the first try. That's good. To try and save as much mana as possible. That was bad. That was bad for me. Oh, Hana just saved me right there. Oh my god. Actually, that might just hit him. It did. Nice. I think that'll hit. Okay, I think we just need one more. Nice. Now we can just use all the burst. There we go. We reach our third boss once again for our second attempt at it. With 2 white mages, we might be able to burst the boss down fast enough that the Sandworm won't become a problem. At first, we try to keep Hana as the main tank, as she is the only shield healer, making her easier to tank by just spamming shields on herself, but sadly that ends up not going to plan. And as we predicted, me and the other white mage kept stealing aggro from one another because of the similar amount of damage we do, making tanking very tricky at certain points, but it's very clear that this time around, with 2 white mages, we're dealing more damage than we were on the previous attempt. We die on our first try because I forgot to feed the Sandworm in time, as I told the party that I was going to be on crystal duty. But there is a problem, is that I'm incredibly forgetful, which made me mess up this mechanic multiple times, causing unnecessary stresses, though sometimes someone else would take the crystal duty if I end up taking aggro. So everybody had to be ready to adjust to their new task depending on who is in aggro and who is free. The ads remain as problematic as always, but manageable if we are constantly aware of our surroundings, but sometimes the whole party is distracted keeping everybody alive, tanking the boss and the ads that we end up forgetting about feeding the worm. Truly a fight of balancing everything perfectly. Me and the other white mage do our best to hold damage so Hana has enough time to maintain aggro for a good while, but once Hana goes down, we need to be ready to adjust into either tanking duty or crystal duty. We keep trying and trying and trying, but once one person falls, it becomes a war of recovering mana, especially on the white mages, because white mage level 50 has the worst mana recovery out of every healer at this level range, so recovering from multiple deaths is almost impossible, making us need to rely on multiple limit breaks to save as many resources as possible. With 30 minutes left in the clock, we start getting worried if we're gonna be able to beat this boss in time, as it feels we're stuck and unable to progress. A very punishing fight to recover from whenever a mistake happens. Though surprisingly, it never crossed our minds all this time to actually use some combat food to not only increase our damage but mainly increase our max HP, making us capable of tanking more damage. The main issue we keep running into is that the boss will combo a tank buster together with a auto attack, which has been wiping the main person in aggro consistently. We managed to get the boss to 20% and then the nightmare gets worse. At 20% the boss spawns 2 ads that need to be tanked, though thankfully they go down with only one of us dying to them. I'm dead. We do eat one Sandworm raid wide that miraculously doesn't kill us outright, losing only one person and the white mage not taking any damage whatsoever. Things starting to look really good. This is the best we've ever reached in this fight. We don't bitch about it, retake those. Oh my god, just fucking kill him already, please! Oh my god, he did it again! No! Oh my god. Oh my god. Yep, you saw it right. The boss survived with only 0.4% HP left. Incredibly unlucky. I'll be honest, I kinda despaired a bit after seeing that, but you know, I signed up to this challenge and at this point I should be used to seeing bosses with less than 1% HP remaining. We get ourselves back up on our feet and we try again. This time around we have one of the rocks explode while one of us was carrying it, causing a wipe. With 20 minutes left, we don't sit around and wait. We jump right into the boss once again and do our best. We got it to 0.4%, which means we can definitely beat it. More wipes happen and clock ticks lower and lower, hanging over our heads that there's a good chance that we will need to replay the entire dungeon again. And for context, we have been trying to clear this dungeon for 3 hours now. This boss single-handedly ruining us. 3 minutes on the clock, and the boss hovers around 30% HP. This was the definition of us stretching our luck to not redo that dungeon again. Oh my god. I swear to god, he's hitting harder and harder. Oh my Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Oh my fucking god, 1 minute left. Well, that's gonna be the title of the next video. Holy shit. And with that, we beat Copperbell Mines Hard with less than a minute left for the instance. My hands were shaking when we finally got done with this boss. To think that this boss would take us this long to beat, it really shows that you never know what to expect in this challenge. And with that, we end the 3rd episode of Healer on the Run. We're only 3 episodes in, and it has been one of the most exciting things that I've done in this game. The amount of time I spent on these runs rivals the time I spent attempting savage raids, honestly. I want to thank Hannah, Caleb, and Terry for helping me with this dungeon attempt. And hey, Scholar from the previous attempt, if you're watching this, thank you for joining as well. And for that, thank you so much for watching till now, and I'll be seeing you on the next masochistic episode of Healer on the Run.